Let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here this morning. This is CPAD's graduate online teaching practicum presenting Exploring Penn State Stuckeman International Students' Experiences, an art research service diversity and inclusion project by Yang Dang and Ray Wang. I'm going to read a quick biography for both of them. Yang Dang is a PhD candidate in art education from Penn State School of Visual Arts. She's an artist specializing in drawing and decorative arts and design. Her research focuses on the intersection between international education and art education fields. Ray Wang is a PhD candidate in landscape architecture from Penn State Stuckeman School, and her research focuses on the human perception of green infrastructure and community engagement. Welcome, please welcome Yang and Ray.
Hi. Thanks. Yeah, so I think I would be starting for our presentation today. Welcome everybody, and thanks for the CPADs for creating this great opportunity for us to present here. So we want to talk about exploring Penn State Stuckeman International Students' Experience in Art Research Service Diversity and Inclusion Project today.
If you want to switch it on
that
to
one?
desktop, yeah, because that's what you're sharing.
Yeah, so we're gonna share a little bit background about this fellowship, and then I will talk about our project goals and the questions that we would like to answer. And then I will let Yang to talk about the specific timeline and the specific work that we've done so far. And then I will make conclusions. So that's the plan. Okay. So in early 2021, Stuckeman School has initiated this diversity and inclusion fellowship program, which encourage faculty and students to collaborate with people who are outside of Stuckeman School to do some research and surveys for promotion of the diversity and inclusion at Stuckeman School level. So I reached out to Yang, and we decided to collaborate on this project. And thanks, Patricia, and we wrote proposal and we got accepted. So we decided to do something for the Stuckeman international students community. This is not because we both from the this part of the community, but also we went through some literature and we found that there is a gap. We noticed that there is a little attention to be given to this community when we are talking about diversity and inclusion, especially in art and design programs. So even though the art education field is a very developed field in the US, and also within the institutional equity services, the international student community were not always considered as the target group in the higher education, despite the structural barriers and discrimination that they face. So based on our own experience and also the research gaps in the literature, so we wanted to create this project to fill this research gap and also do some great things to our community. So that's our major goal. So our project would like to answer these three essential questions. So the first one is that, does Stuckeman School create an inclusive environment for international students? Very simple, plain, but critical. And question number two is that, what are the challenges affecting international students' sense of engagement? And the third one is that, how to better promote international students' engagement experience at Stuckeman School. So they're kind of interconnect with each other. With that being said, our main target groups are international undergraduate and graduate students at Stuckeman School. So we engage them by doing surveys and interviews, which Yang is gonna introduce it in just a minute. And we also create a public event, which everybody was welcomed. So that's the overview of our project. So I think I will leave the floor to Yang to talk about our timeline and the specific work. Yang?
Hey, thank you, Ray. That was a very, very nice introduction. And
Thanks.
that set up a context for me to explain our timeline and work. So I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see it from my side.
So right
So you
now
need to
I'm gonna
Share
Right.
on your side.
Thank you. Okay, so I think, is everyone able to see the screen? Okay, good. So, like when we apply for the fellowship in the spring, we propose a timeline that we, in each semester, we aim for one particular area that so that we can get set up for each semester. So in the summer, we get all the preparation work to conduct research in the fall 2021 so that we can recruit participants. And then in the spring, we can actually create the public events and engagement activities that come out from our research. So in the summertime, in the preparation work, we finalize the budgets to fund our research, to recruit participants, and to also can to just because we set up the given each survey and interview participant for gift cards, so that we need the funding for it, and also we need the funding for the public event. So that's how we finalize the budget. Then we design our survey and interview questions so that we can submit a research proposal to the IRBs so that they can approve for us to conduct human research. So then in the fall recruitment, we first send out the survey and we receive responses. And then we recruit and conduct the individual interviews. And then we also establish our project website. And here is our website, and you can click the scan the QR code in the bottom. I also leave it on top of the screen so that, if you don't have time, you can scan it right now to take a look. So I do want to introduce who are the participants in this project. We received 23 survey participants, and out of this 23, there are 20 student holds F1 visa, which is a non-immigration student visa. And there are 3 of them either have one green card, either one has the dual citizenship, or there's one did not answer the question. So it's out the questions. And then we do have a kind of skewed data set because we have 20 students are female and we only have 2 males participate in the survey. So, and there's one did not answer the question, so or prefer not to answer. So we do not know about the gender. But then the age range from 19 to 36, and the median age is 24. And then almost a little more than half of students already been to the United States either by travel or by studying before they enroll at Penn State. So they have a little experience of the US culture. And then from the 23 participants, we have 13 participants being interviewed. And 7 of them are actually undergraduate students and 6 of them are graduate students, right? So the country they come from have quite a diverse country. We have 5 actually from China, 5 from India, and then 2 are from Brazil, 3 from Iran. And then the rest of participants came from Bangladesh, Canada, Jordan, Mexico, Panama, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. So after we did all the survey and then contact the participant, we start to think about what we should do after we finish all the data analysis. We've been thinking about doing some kind of artwork, but as an artist, I want to create some visual stuff to highlight international student experience. So as we were thinking about it, there was an email sent from a Stuckeman school. It's a senior graphic design student who's looking for a participant in their project. They're trying to create a design deliverable, a campaign for a member from the diversity community. So they reach out to me because their instructor has shared a Stuckeman diversity inclusion program webpage saying that, hey, maybe you want to look up for people actually in this group. So that's how they contact me. And then I think, hey, they have this tool, they have really great talent in the design and visual, and we need someone to do the work for us so that we can fill each person's need. Then I propose them to a project collaboration with these 3 senior graphic design students. And then they create a campaign design and deliverable, which I'm going to share right now. So as a designer, when they create their products, they want me as an artist to create a work for them. or like a artist, like a pattern for them. So I created this drawing, and I use the survey result where I could collect where the country they come from. So I look up for this each country's cultural patterns, and then I put them into all this drawing together. So it's like a united cloud that holding the airplane coming down to Stuckeman. Because for me, international students bring rich culture and diversity into the campus. That's why I put this, I pulled this kind of a main figure from Mayan culture and put in the context of COVID-19 with wearing the masks. And then I hope that Stockman School people can welcome them coming in. So that's kind of romantic side of me being an artist. Then the student use my patterns and create these beautiful deliverables. The things that they include have some kind of information that provide for international student for where they can contact people if they needed some assistance. They also brainstorm about how to promote our project by creating a website, and also they have this kind of amazing idea of door tag that really highlighting international student and highlighting our project. So this is at the concept design. So they're not real. We try to make it real, but me and Ray calculate the budget. It's just too much. So we didn't, you know what? Let's save the money for the actual public event. So yeah, it's a beautiful concept, and we really loved it. So now we get into the public engagement. We complete the data collection analysis in the spring semester, and we also, based on the data result that we had from the interviews, and we designed and distribute these quotes into the visual flyers. They're part of the data. And also, we plan and initiate a game time public event based on the result that we found from our research. And then we celebrate and share that final report with the CPAT in last semester. So this we're really honored again that we can share that again today. So here is how we distribute the findings from our interview. So we re-paraphrase some really major topics, and then we remove all the content that can be identified, and then we paraphrase into the major quotes, and then we distribute in the buildings of Stockman and also building at Borland. So, for example, one of the things they talk really commonly is the design of Stockman building gives a good interactive environment to bring international students together. So they really love the space of Stockman School, and they felt very welcomed. So I created this video, like a visual video, so you can take a look the process of us how we actually did our work. So this is Megan. She's one of the senior student who helping out us. Then we have to cut each flyer out with different size, and then this is our way, me and our race way of attacking the doors. We use the smaller the flyer to really display everywhere for people to take a look, so that they can know there's our what's going on. Oh, I have to talk about this picture. So Adam is an alumni award recipient, and during the time when we are brainstorming of how to do this, how to promote this project, he was there in the class invited by this three graphic design students instructor. So he was one contributor to the door tag idea, and then that's why I put one of the quote, Stallman's has a great alumni network that I found good to engage with events and activities. Professor and peers are understanding. So I want to put this right next to him to appreciate his idea. Right. We just basically put it everywhere around the place. Ray, you can jump in if you want to share anything.
Very good.
Yeah. So when we distribute the flyer, we also see the students' course project being displayed on screen. So we also put this right next to it. Just want to know that's how we collaborated. And we put everything together at the end, and then we create this board for them to leave notes and thoughts. So that's how we made the things all together. And this is all to bring the next part of our public event. One of the things from the survey that we did find is that most of the international students would like to receive more information about competition grant scholarship. And some of them, remove that. Some of them would like to have more activity that help improve the academic studies. and some of them wish to have a more fun activity and casual gathering. So these are the kind of top results. And the things of what we can do probably can only do the more fun activities, which is why we created this game, like game time. And then we found a place that's big enough for everyone to come in and play. So this is again, I made this kind of image video to show you what it's look like. We also did a lot of brainstorming of how to create this game. And also we have the illustration of how this game will be played, and then people can see the instructions in the back. So they will look at the image that I created with the illustration of the game, and then this is how they actually play. So I just let the image flow. It was a fun day. And then we have a quite good number of teams to come in and join us. Is that right, Ray?
Yeah, I think we got about 8 teams to participate. That's a big number because I didn't anticipate that. Yeah.
Yeah, we thought probably only one group or two group that would be great, but it
Yeah.
actually came out. There's a lot of people participated.
It was a really
We were
fun
really
day.
happy.
Yeah, we all
It
enjoyed
was a
it.
fun day. Yeah, that's Megan, one of the senior graphic design student.
Yeah. While you guys are seeing these pictures, I also would like to thank GRID, the Graduate Design and Research Association at Stuckeman. Without them, we couldn't have this wonderful event. So
Yeah, only two of us can really make this happen. So we really did have a lot of people help through the process. Yeah, with their generosity with sharing all the stories. So yeah, and after the game, people win their prizes. In the first play, they got a little medal. They also got a gift card. So, and then they all said they really had a good time. So at this point, I do want to get to end my part. Our project did achieve two goals. One is that it's more a practical goal that we create a collaborative project model for institutions to integrate visual arts and research to promote international education and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the second goal that we achieved is to be more idealistic, that we highlight the international student experience in the arts at Stuckeman School and fill in the identified gaps in the research fields of U.S. international education, DEI, institutional services, and arts education, because that's what we originally started. And then we do hope to expand our project to serve the College of Arts and Architecture or other colleges and institutions to continue advancing meaningful changes. So I'm gonna get back to this part back to Ray to conclude our findings and other things. I'm gonna stop share.
thanks, Yang. Oh, I need to go through all the slides.
Yeah, it stopped where.
Sorry,
It stopped
guys.
for your presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do see one question saying that if the student talk about what is the inside the building that's welcoming, I think it's both the actual design of the structure of the building and also the setup and also the courses where the professors teaching the class, the interactive space. We can actually discuss more about that when Ray is concluding her part.
Yeah, so for the conclusion part, I think it's good for us to revisit the essential questions that we are really interested in. So the first is, does the Stuckeman School really create this inclusive learning environment for the international students? And then what are the challenges for them affecting their sense of engagement, and how we can better promote international student engagement experience at Stuckeman School? So based on our research and project, we know that we conclude that overall it's a very inclusive learning environment at Stuckeman, because most of the students, they mentioned it's welcoming and they feel like it's a home for them, because they always work together and they stay at night, try to finish the project and help each other a lot. And also to respond to that question, people do mention that the design, the specific or the physical design of the Stuckeman family building creates a sense of engagement. The examples would like that it's feeling the openness of the building, and it does not have a conventional classroom style. So you can have a lot of opportunities to engage with people who are not in your class or in your program. So that's a very nice feature for the Stuckeman family building. And also the furniture design, like the tables and the lockers, you can play around with it to create your own space. So if you want some privacy, you can do that. Or if you want your space to be more open, you can also change the arrangement. So that's a really good point that that the participants mentioned. So there are some other points that they mentioned. It's like, for example, working as a team or a group creates a community sense. So the international student, when they first initially enter the program, maybe they feel isolated. So by working with others as a team manner, they can know each other in a better way, and also they feel like there is a lot of interactions happening when actually doing the academic work or the projects. We do found there are some mixed experiences regarding the participation in cultural organizations. For example, conventionally we feel like, okay, people who tend to want to interact with people who have the same cultural background, right? Maybe that's not always true, because some people they believe it's not very helpful for them to participate in their cultural organizations. Reasons, for example, like there was a conflict between the class schedule and those events held by those cultural organizations, and also sometimes the topics that have been brought in those cultural organizations really is not attractive for them. So there are some individual cases where they think, okay, I just stop participating in these cultural organizations, even though they're all my that we come from the same country. So that's about general engagement experience for international student at Stuckeman. So the question 2, there are some like very obvious challenges that affecting their sense of engagement. First of all, the unsecured financial condition. I think this has been brought by a lot of graduate level students. They always feel like they're unsecured. They have to seek all the opportunities to get a funding for them to support the study here. So they argue that if they can get a stable funding, maybe they could be more successful in the learning process. And of course, the language barrier, I think this is a very common challenges for anyone who does not speak English as a native language. Yeah, and also they mentioned that they have to cope with the different educational system, because they tend to compare what is the learning process in their own country and here in the United States. So it takes some time for them to be adjust about in the system. For example, they said, okay, there's a lot of reading materials I have to finish in a weekly base. And also we tend to write a lot, which we didn't get this kind of training back to our country. And also we need to present more compared to previous learning experience. So those are like the specific points that they have mentioned in the interview. So the final question we are interested is how to better promote international student engagement experience at Stuckeman School. So I think there are 3 or 4 points we would like to share with you guys. So first of all, the funding mechanism can be more transparent for international graduate students. They really ask for that. Yeah. And the second one is maybe the teaching team can, maybe the administration team can consider adding more like non-academic related activities to the school event series, besides the lectures that we already have in the Stuckeman School. but those lectures are very successful. People do like it, but maybe it would be better for them to just have like social interaction based events that like what we have done for that game event. Yeah, I think there are another 2 points. We know that international undergraduate students prefer more group work to better engage with domestic students. So maybe this piece of facts can be considered by the teaching faculty when they design those course structures and specific teaching activities, so that they can better include international student community in the classroom. So the last one, I think it would be great to include some international case studies or cultural appreciation events in the curriculums. So for example, some participants do mention that they really want to highlight their own culture by this learning experience. So maybe for some design projects, they can actually look at the sites in their own hometown, and then they get an opportunity to present their own culture, present their own maybe architectural buildings and historical presentation to the audience. So I think that's also a really good piece of suggestions that the faculties can consider. And also the cultural appreciation, I think they mean that, but they're talking that because they think, okay, maybe we can add some cultural events at the Stuckeman School, because we know that at the university level, we do have some cultural events from different cultural organizations, but it would be better for Stuckeman to have their own events. Yeah, so I think as we mentioned, like the structure, the physical design of the Stuckeman building contribute the positive international student engagement experience. So we thought it would be better for maintain these good ones and improve the spatial arrangement for in-person interaction. I guess that's the last one. Yeah. I think the rest of this, Yang already mentioned this. So I think it's a good time for us to stop and take some questions.
Yes. So any questions and comments? And then I think I have a question from Patricia that she left in the Q&A section. She asked, how does I think she asked 2 questions. The first question is talking about the environment. She wants to know, did the students talk about what it is in the building that is welcoming? Do you want to take that part?
Yeah, so I think they mentioned that the North Forum and South Forum, where they typically have the lectures. Yeah, I think that's a really good feature. I don't think there's need to be change on that part. It's a really good part. Yeah, and also the studio setting, like the tables, because for the majority of the space, they don't have the partition, like the vertical board to separate them from their peers, so they can always talk to each other. So, but I think based on my own experience, some of them do not like the board between their tables. So, but that's just a small number. Yeah. So maybe keep that openness is a very good way to maintain this good feature in the Stuckeman building.
Yeah. And as a like an outsider from Stuckeman building, my first time visit Penn State campus, when I first time walked into Stuckeman building, I was like, oh my God, this whole place, I wish my classroom would look like this. So I think that kind of particular design, like the architecture design itself, is a great educational environment for people to interact, to communicate, to socialize, to learn from each other. So that's, I think the feature itself is really enhanced that type of engaged community. I think we answered that questions. And then the second question Patricia asked, which is a very good question. She said, how does the Stuckeman international community inclusion compared to the international community in art education. So basically, is how the Stuckeman international community compared to art education international community.
Compared to art education community.
Yeah, the international community in the art education. So I can start answering this question, and Ray can just jump in. Honestly, I don't think there are much of differences because within the art education field itself, international student number of international student in art education is particularly in the doctoral level or in the graduate student level is not it's not a lot number, not a big number, but it compared to domestic student, it could be even. But the services providing to international student is basically not too much. Either they are not first considered as a diverse inclusion target group. They're adults, international students, mostly in the graduate student level, and they're not that much undergraduate level in our education in the United States. So the mostly graduate level, and graduate students usually consider adults that they can take care of themselves. So I think faculty, when it comes to engaging international students, they're more engaging individuals, but they don't really consider too much about what they're bringing into the U.S. art education, but what they try to teach international students what you can advance in the research and theories, and a lack of overlook what this student can bring in from their country and the way how they teach art education, and that can bring into conversation. That didn't happen a lot. So I can only speak from my part and my experience and with the research I've been conducting. Ray, I'm not sure what do you think about your experience?
Yeah, it just remind me of something relates to the demographics of the arts and architecture college. So when I searched through this like basic facts, I found out that the international students are only about less than 10% in the arts and architecture college, whereas the students who are in states are about 50%, and then who are out of states, I think they're like 20%, and the rest of the 10 or like 20 are domestic students. So I think based on this statistic, the international students in art, at least in Stuckeman School, are really just a very small group, and we don't talk about diversity and inclusion in this specific group. And one thing also interested is that when I first get into the program, and I found that okay, there is a events for the people of color. So I sent out the emails to our coordinator and ask what considered to be the group of color students. So that's a very dumb question. But if you're not in the US, you don't have that concept in your mind. So I did ask that questions, and then I get a reply, and they said, okay, those are for the specifically for the Black community. So, and I was thinking, okay, do we have something similar to our maybe Asian or East Asia students? But I think in Stuckeman, I haven't heard about this. So, of course, that's based on it's not based on the nationality. So, but I do understand, I do understand why the international students kind of not being considered as a diversity and inclusion community.
Right.
So for the I think for the condition that are in the other school, like other architecture or design school in the US, I do not really know like what's the condition in their program and how they treat their international student community, whether they have been some services to be offered to them. I have no answer. I guess maybe that's the next time, next step where we can get those more details and to support our research. Actually, we are initiating this paper to talk about how this kind of group have been ignored in this art education. Yeah, it's been in the progress.
Yeah, it is being a progress. I think it's very different because international students are usually considered in the service of international education because you're representing a nation, you're coming from a different nation, you're holding F1 visa. But in the context of the United States, that the appearances of skin color sometimes will maybe overlap and tap into a different services, which is diversity inclusion. So I think the gap between these two and also the division of these two services sometimes may give a little confusion for international student. Should I belong to the minority group or should I belong to international student group? And how my experience do mix with this two group of students. So that being talked about in research paper and studies and also throughout our interviews as well. I hope we answered that questions. And yeah, and I also see some very interesting comments as well. So let's Anna, let's try to see if I can unmute people so that we can jump into conversations, that we can have more conversation that we can share with everyone, hear from everyone. You muted,
All
Anna.
right, I'm also muted. I believe people should be able to unmute themselves.
Then we can just click ask to come unmute.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And I think you were
Okay.
successful.
Okay, good.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Patricia.
Can others try? Maybe Brandon or Zena, are you able to unmute?
Yeah, I can unmute.
Okay,
I can unmute.
okay.
you.
Yeah, jump in. Everyone feel free to share.
Well, I'll jump in just a kind of aha moment, or this idea that we use the term, or have started to use the term, people of color, how it is a term that is not really mindful. It is the term that says, well, you're not white, you're people of color. As we often consider white not a color, although it is a color by definition, artistic definition, and white definition, it's the presence of all colors. But when we say people of color, we mean everybody who's not white, and we mean to include, the full spectrum of coloration as we define it by races. So it would include all international students, for example, as well as people of color that are domestic. It's just, again, it's a sort of term that I realize, an aha moment for me about how that is not a very inclusive or equitable term, people of color, and how it is also a very US centric term. So thank you for a humbling moment of aha-ness related to that term. Something else that I shared with Yang about the Stuckeman building is that I think that we could think about the Stuckeman building as a kind of living room approach, as opposed to the classroom, where a classroom sets up a certain kind of expected hierarchies. The living room is a much more less hierarchical space and perhaps more democratic in nature. But I did say that in the Stuckeman living room space, everybody has their own couch, and that's a really important part, I think, of what I realize is an important part, is everybody wants to have their own desk or their own kind of space or their own couch. Even if they only sit in that couch every once in a while, they still want to have their own couch in the living room so that people know they belong, as part of that community. So it says a lot when we think about contemporary learning spaces and how do we move from something that's our history of sort of hierarchical spaces to non-hierarchical spaces, and what that means, this idea of ownership and identity through placemaking. Really important. So thank you for helping me think about that.
Thank you, Patricia, for your
Thank you,
comments.
Patricia.
Yeah, and also giving us this opportunity for doing this project. So Ray, do you participant in your room, do they have any comments or questions?
Yeah, let me ask. Any thoughts on this? No? Okay, yeah. I think we still have like about 5 more minutes to take questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to keep our presentation a little shorter to have more time to have conversation. And also, I know Ray has to teach a class at,
Yeah.
and leave at
10.
9:50, right? You have
Yeah,
class at 10, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Hi everyone. Hi Yang and
Hey,
Ray.
hey, Xiao Xiao, hi. Thank you for
I'm
coming.
I'm a fellow international student, also like doing my doctoral study at the Ohio State University. The presentation is so informative. So I'm curious to learn, like going off to what Patricia just mentioned about like this sense of belonging. I'm wondering like if you have any suggestions for fellow international students in terms of like advocating for themselves.
You mean to have suggestion for them to get a sense of belonging into the campus?
Yeah, and also like with the lack of resources they have, like what are some of the ways they might be able to advocate for their own study?
Mm. Okay, thank you. Ray, do you want to comment on that?
So that question related to how you want to promote your own research to get more audience, or you want to have more interaction with other people in the campus. Sorry, I think maybe I misunderstood what you're asking. Can you?
No, I think like in terms of like advocacy and also like this sense of belonging, it has like multiple layers, right? Like about like your research and also trying to secure more resources as you're studying here, and also developing like this network, social network as well. If we identified that international students are under-resourced, and then what are some of the things that people or students might be able to do to like change that?
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
think
kind of understand. So I think for at individual level, I think it's sometimes it's your own opportunity to seek those resource. So when I interact with those participants during the interviews, some of them feel like they don't want to seek for help when they get stuck. For example, there was one student who just get into the program, and she just kind of refused talking to people and just get the work done by herself. Yeah, and they and she did send emails to the professors, but as I recall, that's the only action she did to seek help. So on that part, I would suggest individual from the individual perspective, you should be taking the lead to seek for the help if you are feeling stuck. So I do think that the individual is a lack of the power or the capacity to secure those resources. I think from the school level, they have to do something for us. So for example, the school they can adjust the structure and highlight the international student community and create the resource and maybe the events or the activities for them to give this opportunity for them to participate and engage with the discourse. So I think it's like a two-way street. We move forward, and then the school can provide something for us. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
Anything you wanna
absolutely. Right.
think?
That
Yeah.
yeah, that's very helpful. That actually reminds me of this article by Jessica Clarko that I just read. So she was talking about like she was comparing how like middle class students and lower class students are like their behaviors like in classrooms. It turns out middle class students are more likely to ask help within the classroom when they are stuck. So like, as you are talking about like international students' experience of like not reaching out, not asking for help, then I start to think about this could also be like a cultural capital. Like when you got stuck, you know, like where to seek help. But if you are a newcomer, you might not necessarily know who to turn to, or even just like being brave enough to make that kind of request.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think any when we go, it does not go about just study abroad. When you go travel, if you go to a different city or a really strange city that I've never been to, do you brave enough to talk to local people about things? Or do you brave enough to find people to give you help? So I think it's like Ray said as at the beginning, this is bring into the international program, right? When every institution has an international student program, they should supposed to provide services for international students when they first come in. But not every institution are as good as Penn State. This is what I have to really brag about. And also, I think assuming Ohio State as well. Big institutions really give services and consider with the international student because one of the source of they welcome international students, not only they want to recruit more international students, but also probably part of the tuitions, right? But they do want to do some global education. So they provide a lot of services for those students coming in. They even give them like mental preparation, telling them once you come into US, you may be into a U-shaped curve of cultural adjustment. You come in the honeymoon stage, but you soon go into cultural sickness or cultural shock, and then you adjust into certain level. So they give you a mental prepared theory for international students to get prepared. But a lot of institutions doesn't give that service, and especially smaller institutions, sometimes when international come in, they don't know who to ask. They might, for them, people who they can contact the first is advisor or student advisor. So that's the first two sources they would go to. But these people are not always trained how to serve or how to help. We call help, but actually how to assist international students when they study in the host country. And I think that's not only just a U.S. issue. I think it's across the globe, because a lot of other countries when they working serving with international students also have the same thing. So really, if we want to advocate for ourselves and to speak out, we first learn the system, then we can speak the system's language to the advocate for us.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jiao, for your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Xiao Xiao.
Well, thank you so
And
much. Do we have any, I believe there's a class coming at 10. Any other questions or comments?
Can I
saw
follow up
Zena
on
probably
Xiaoxiao's
raised
comment?
Absolutely, Patricia.
Both Ray and Yang mentioned in their study the kind of partnership with the GRID organization. And I think that's probably something that's pretty important in Stuckeman, which is the graduate student organization. And maybe something like that isn't available to Xiao Xiao at Ohio State. And these are some things that the administration, I think, has done. And then actually, I think Jose Duarte needs a big sort of applause because I know that he is a big supporter of GRID and pulls them into all sorts of events. And I do believe that the next group of fellows are really coming out of the GRID organization for diversity, equity, inclusion in Stuckeman. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so do you mean the GRID organization?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I know we are studying in the same office. So one is Sana and the other one is Ali. So one of them came from India and the other one came from Iran. Yeah, if I believe. So I think they start collaborating on some kind of diversity and inclusion fellowship projects. I think one of the things they want to put on the table is to have these cultural events for the Stuckeman School, and they're right now reaching out to people who have the talent. Maybe you know how to do the art performance, you know how to play instrument, and they want to have this culture night at Stuckeman. So I think it would be a very successful event. So right now it's being planned, and also I think they want to do something like a tour to let the international sorry, not the international, the graduate students to have a visit experience nearby the Pennsylvania. I think they would like to take them to the waterfall, and also some local
Falling water. Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright's
falling
Falling
water.
Water. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. And also
But
the
I
Amish
also-
culture group, I guess. Yeah, because it's very new for graduate students. So I think those specific activities has been considered by these two fellows. Right now they're just brainstorming the ideas. Yeah.
Right. But the grid group is actually a pre-existing group,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can speak a little bit about the grid because I was the vice president in that group from 2020 to 2021. So that group focused on the research and the service for the graduate level student at Stuckeman School. So they hold the graduate level research colloquium every semester. It has been like a routine program, and it has been very successful. Each PhD student and also master student, they can register for presenting their work. So it creates a lot of opportunity for them to interact in terms of their own research. I think that's a really good setting that is developed by the grid. And also they have make every effort to speak to the diversity group. For example, recently there, you guys all know the tragic that happened in Iran, where there was a girl who died in a serious event. And I think they set up those like tables for just to memorize the that girl in the segment. When you hit into the hall, you will see that setup. They have the pictures, the candles, and all the stories, and to get everybody know about what is happening outside of the US. So that's, I think, also very important. And also we often receive emails from GRID who suggest any things that we could do to promote our community, to improve the sense of the community in this at Stuckeman. So GRID does a lot of work on that. So I am very proud of being that community. Yeah. Patricia, what else do you want to know about the GRID?
That was really good explanation, and I'm so happy to hear that how engaged they are. And I wanted you to talk about it so that people could understand it as a model. It's actually driven by students, so getting involved and finding a partner and creating a group actually expands inclusion and generates these programs, which again are part of the community and something to be so very proud of. So thank you for speaking about it.
Thank you,
I
Patricia.
think Patricia also mentioned GRID is also, we share that information to Xiao Xiao. I think that's also one way to advocate our, for our international student services.
Yeah.
So Ray, do you mind to press the next slide where we have our information to contact us? Oh, I appreciate designers who created the slides. And then I think there's a slide had our, right. So this is our contact email. You can contact us for any questions or anything. And I think Ray, you probably want to run. It's almost 10.
Yeah, I really should go.
You really should go, right?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
thank you, Ray. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna leave
Thank you,
on
everybody,
Zoom
for
in
being
case there are any
here.
questions. Yeah. Bye, Ray.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray.
Thank you.
I believe we have a class coming at 10 unless they're no
Right.
longer coming, but I think we
I think
should.
Tess might know. Is Tess still here there?
I am
To
still
log
here.
out?
Yeah, I can log out.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I am
So
still
I
here,
guess-
but we do need to.
Yeah,
wrap
need a room.
up.
So we have to leave.
Okay.
Thank you so much for everyone to coming in. I see people, I see familiar people. Thank you for showing support. And then yeah, let us know if you have any questions. You can email us. Right. Thank you,
And
Anna, for inviting
yeah,
us. Again.
big thank you to you and to Ray. CPAD's Graduate Practicum is a place to feature our graduate students' research. So you're always welcome to come and share. And I just wanted to quickly announce our next event, which will be Friday, November 4th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be in person and virtual. And we will have Jonathan Cook from the School of Psychology discussing the sense of belonging for graduate students, which is part of his research and presentations that he has done. So we hope to see you there. And once again, thank you so much.